There are moments in your spiritual journey when you begin to sense that something about your life has been tampered with, something precious, something divine, something meant to elevate you. You feel the weight of battles that do not match your physical reality. You sense delays that have no logical explanation. You watch opportunities that should be yours slip through your fingers, as though an unseen hand has buried them under layers of darkness. Whenever God is about to raise a destiny, the enemy attempts to cover it, hide it, or bury it. But the same God who resurrects what is dead also excavates what was buried. And when his holy fire speaks, no evil soil can hold what belongs to you. Welcome to Everlasting Solutions, where the word of God becomes your everlasting victory. May this message awaken the authority inside you and ignite the fire that uncovers everything buried in your life. Heaven stands ready to expose every evil covering assigned against your purpose. What was buried is about to surface. What was hidden is about to shine. What was taken is about to be restored. And every demonic hand that manipulated your destiny will release it by fire. Now let us go deeper into the mystery of buried blessings and hidden virtues. There are realms of warfare where the enemy does not simply attack you. He buries what is yours. He buries your voice, your influence, your opportunities, your star, your glory, and the divine uniqueness God placed inside you. This burial is not physical soil. It is spiritual concealment. It is the deliberate covering of your destiny so you are present yet unseen, gifted yet unrecognized, hardworking yet unrewarded, anointed yet resisted. Many people fight lifelong battles, not because they lack ability, but because something concerning them has been spiritually buried. The enemy buries blessings to delay manifestation. Whenever a destiny carries weight in the spirit, adversaries rise to silence it before it speaks. They hide it so it cannot announce itself. They cover it so it cannot be found. They bury it so it cannot produce fruit. This is why some individuals experience sudden stagnation after great potential is noticed. Because spiritual adversaries rush to bury what they fear will shine too brightly. Scripture reveals examples of this strange pattern. Joseph's greatness was buried under false accusations and prison walls, yet heaven excavated him at the appointed time. Moses' destiny was buried under a decree of death, yet divine intervention rescued him from the river. Jesus' identity was hidden from evil rulers until God's timing was ripe. These examples remind us that burial does not cancel destiny. It only delays it until God's fire exposes what darkness tried to cover. The enemy also buries virtues through dream manipulation. When someone dreams of seeing themselves underground, in a coffin, trapped in darkness or unable to find their belongings, these are signs their spiritual virtues may be buried. Such dreams indicate that glory, speed, or opportunities have been sealed away. Evil hands bury what would make you rise, hoping your life remains stuck in cycles that do not reflect your divine identity. Another mysterious dimension of burial is found in household wickedness. Those who know your star, understand your potential, and fear your rising. They bury destinies through jealousy, spoken curses, projections, and evil altars. They interfere not by attacking your body, but by hiding the treasures God placed within you. You may feel invisible in places you should be celebrated, because someone has spiritually covered what heaven intended to reveal. Sometimes burial occurs through patterns of rejection. When every place you go refuses to recognize your grace, there may be an evil covering, masking your identity. People misread you, misjudge you, misunderstand you, because the enemy places a veil over your glory. You appear diminished to those who should see your true value. This is not normal. It is spiritual interference. The enemy buries financial breakthroughs as well. Opportunities vanish, helpers forget, papers delay, systems resist, and doors that should open remain locked. This is not because the blessing is denied. It is buried, and until fire tears open the covering, the blessing remains underground, assigned to you, yet unreachable. There are also virtues buried by ancestral altars, glory traded, stars dimmed, progress exchanged, and destinies tied to cycles that repeat from generation to generation. These buried blessings manifest as inherited limitations that you cannot explain but continuously experience. You fight battles your parents fought because the enemy buried glory in the bloodline. long before you were born. In many lives, the burial is emotional and internal. Confidence is buried, courage is buried, vision is buried. The person is alive, but their inner strength has been sealed under layers of disappointment, betrayal, or spiritual attacks. When the inner man is buried, even open doors become difficult to walk through. But the greatest truth in this mystery is this: nothing that God ordained for you can remain buried when His fire intervenes. The moment your spirit awakens, the moment you lift your cry, the moment heaven responds, everything buried begins to shake. Coverings begin to tear. Hidden things begin to surface. The ground holding your glory loses its power. For what God has given you must rise again, by fire, by force, and by divine decree. There are seasons when life begins to show patterns that cannot be explained by logic, effort, or personality. These patterns are not random. They are signals that something concerning your destiny has been spiritually buried or covered. One of the clearest signs is persistent stagnation despite genuine effort. You invest time, energy, prayer, and commitment, yet nothing moves. You push, but the door does not open. You qualify, but you are ignored. You try, but results do not manifest. This imbalance between effort and outcome reveals that something in the unseen realm is working against the visibility and fruitfulness of your labor. Another sign is sudden and unexplained rejection. Not ordinary rejection, but the kind where people turn away from you without reason, misjudge you, or overlook you even when you are the most suitable. A buried glory is difficult to recognize, and a covered destiny is easy to dismiss. When evil coverings are placed over a person, they appear less than who they truly are. Those assigned to help them become blind to their value, and doors that should open become strangely resistant. Cycles of near-success failure also reveal spiritual burial. You come close to breakthrough, but something happens at the final moment. An approval reverses, a promise fades, a connection breaks, a window closes. This repeating last-minute sabotage is not normal. It is the effect of a destiny buried so deeply that manifestation cannot break through. It is like planting a seed and watching it sprout, but never rise above the soil. The potential is real, but the covering suffocates manifestation. Another strong sign is spiritual forgetfulness, when people who previously celebrated your gift suddenly forget your existence. Helpers who once supported you become silent. Those who promised to stand with you disappear. Your name is erased from places where it should be honored. This is not coincidence. It is a spiritual burial of visibility. Your star has been covered, and your influence has been dimmed in the spirit realm. Dream manipulation is one of the most direct indicators. When you see yourself losing items, searching for something you cannot find, walking in dark places, being trapped underground, or watching others steal what belongs to you, these dreams reveal spiritual burial at work. The enemy often attacks people in dreams because the spirit realm is where destiny transactions occur. A buried blessing is often first revealed through symbolic dreams, long before the physical symptoms appear. Another sign is unexplainable delays that defy time and logic. When opportunities take years to manifest, when progress drags as though time has slowed for you but not for others, when simple processes become lengthy battles, the hand of burial is often involved. Evil coverings create spiritual congestion around a person's path, slowing down everything that should be quick and complicating everything that should be simple. You also know something is buried when you feel a constant sense of heaviness, an invisible weight pressing on your spirit, draining motivation, clouding clarity, and weakening your inner strength. This heaviness is not emotional. It is spiritual. It is the pressure of darkness sitting on what should rise. It is the enemy sitting on your star. It is the covering trying to suffocate your divine identity so you no longer fight for what belongs to you. Another powerful sign is fruitlessness. You keep planting, but nothing grows. Ideas come, but do not take shape. Projects start, but collapse midway. You are capable, but results refuse to appear. When a destiny is buried, productivity becomes a battlefield rather than a natural outcome. You work harder than others, but see fewer results because something in the spirit realm is blocking the manifestation of your seed. There are also relational signs. Connections break without reason. People withdraw mysteriously. helpers misunderstand your intentions, and those meant to lift you suddenly distance themselves. This is because a buried destiny carries a repelling force in the spirit realm. The enemy hides you from the people God ordained to elevate you, causing confusion in places where favor should flow. Finally, one of the most painful signs is internal silence. The voice of your destiny, your passion, your dreams, your divine urgency goes quiet. You no longer feel the push to pursue what once excited you. Hope dims, vision blurs, the inner fire becomes faint. This is the burial of the inner man. The enemy knows that once he buries your internal fire, he can bury everything else with ease. But when God begins to restore what was buried, that inner fire returns, and nothing can stop your rising again. There is no spiritual burial without a spiritual agent. Blessings do not hide themselves. Virtues do not bury themselves. Glory does not disappear on its own. Behind every buried destiny, there is an altar, an evil hand, or a spiritual system working deliberately to suppress what God intended to shine. One of the greatest revelations in spiritual warfare is understanding that what fights you is not random. It is organized, intentional, and often ancient. The forces that bury blessings operate with deep knowledge of potential, manipulating destinies long before those destinies fully appear. One of the most active agents behind evil burial is household wickedness. These are individuals connected by blood, proximity, or familiarity who understand your star in ways outsiders do not. They see the grace on your life, the speed in your destiny, the favor on your path, and out of jealousy or inherited evil patterns, they seek to bury what God placed inside you. Such forces operate quietly, attacking not your body, but your future. They bury your visibility, silence your influence, and hide your glory where no one can see it. Joseph's brothers did not attack him physically first. They buried his destiny through schemes designed to hide his prophetic identity. Another agent is witchcraft covens, groups that specialize in spiritual manipulation and destiny suppression. These covens perform rituals using symbolic burial, burying names, burying personal items, burying images, or burying representations of a person's star. Their aim is to ensure that a person's life remains buried in obscurity, stagnation, and failure. They use spiritual soil to cover what they fear. They seal destinies underground to prevent divine emergence. But what they bury, God resurrects when holy fire speaks. Monitoring spirits are also key players. They observe, track, and report your progress to altars assigned to hinder your rising. Their purpose is not to attack directly, but to signal when your breakthrough is near, so that an evil covering can be released. These spirits cause sudden resistance right before manifestation, creating last-minute burial of opportunities. Whenever a person experiences inexplicable, well-timed spiritual attacks, it is often because monitoring spirits have informed the altars of darkness that their rising is near. Dream manipulators also play a significant role. These are spiritual agents who operate primarily in dreams, stealing virtues, hiding blessings, or exchanging destinies through night battles. They may appear as familiar faces, strange shadows, animals, or unknown figures. When they bury blessings in the dream realm, people wake up experiencing confusion, loss, fatigue, or setbacks. Dream burial is one of the subtlest yet most powerful tools of spiritual warfare because it takes place where your conscious guard is weakest. Marine altars also bury destinies through spiritual covenants that trap a person's breakthroughs in water kingdoms. These altars specialize in cycles of delay, denial, relational breakdowns, and emotional instability. They bury blessings not in soil, but in deep waters of spiritual imprisonment. A person may feel like their life is always sinking, always drowning, always being pulled backward because marine forces have buried what heaven intended to elevate. Ancestral altars are another major source of burial. These altars bury generational glory, suppress bloodline greatness, and trade the future of descendants for ancient covenants made by forefathers. When blessings are buried in the ancestral realm, people fight battles that began long before they were born. Financial struggles, marital patterns, cycles of failure, or premature death. Ancestral burial is deep warfare because the altar considers the entire family line its property. But the blood of Jesus speaks resurrection even to what was buried generations ago. There are also occult practitioners who intentionally bury virtues of people they envy or resent. They may bury the representation of someone's success to ensure that the person never rises beyond a certain level. They may bury the symbol of someone's marriage to prevent marital settlement. They may bury the symbol of someone's health to introduce chronic infirmities. Such burial is strategic and targeted, but it collapses instantly when confronted by divine fire. Demonic altars of delay also bury time. They manipulate seasons so that what should take months takes years, and what should take days is trapped in cycles of waiting. When time is buried, a person's life remains behind divine schedule. They are always catching up, always starting over, always rebuilding from scratch. These altars hide the appointed season of manifestation, but God's fire restores lost time and resurrects buried season. Another agent is evil priesthood, spiritual custodians who stand at demonic gates and bury blessings at the point of breakthrough. Their assignment is to sit at the border of your rising, ensuring that just when you are about to step into the next dimension, something collapses. They do not attack at the beginning. They attack at the edge. They bury your next level right as you approach it. But once exposed, their power breaks instantly. Finally, there are self-inflicted burials, caused by ignorance, disobedience, fear, and spiritual laxity. Whenever a person neglects their spiritual life, the enemy takes advantage and buries areas they have not guarded. Burial happens in the absence of fire. Where prayer is weak, coverings thrive. But once revelation comes and the Spirit awakens, every area buried through spiritual weakness begins to rise with divine force and uncompromising fire. There comes a point in every spiritual battle where heaven refuses to stay silent. When the weight of oppression becomes too heavy, when the burial of destiny reaches a boiling point, when the cry of your spirit ascends with desperation and faith, God releases holy fire to intervene. This fire is not symbolic. It is the raw expression of God's judgment against darkness. It is the force that exposes what was hidden, unseals what was covered, and resurrects what was buried. When holy fire shows up, evil coverings cannot remain intact. The spiritual soil holding your glory begins to shake, break, and scatter because divine fire does not negotiate. It consumes. Heaven's intervention begins with light. Before God restores what is buried, He shines light on the places where darkness has been operating. The Bible says, "For nothing is hidden that will not be disclosed, nor anything concealed that will not be known." When heaven releases this investigative light, every demonic agent, altar, covenant, and covering working against you becomes exposed. What the enemy buried secretly is brought to open display in the Spirit. This exposure is the first sign that God is tearing open the evil ground standing between you and your manifestation. Then comes divine excavation. This is when God sends spiritual forces to dig out what belongs to you. Angelic activity intensifies around your life. The battles in your dreams change. You begin to sense spiritual movement around areas that were once stagnant. What was buried begins to rise, not because of your strength, but because heaven has deployed warriors to locate and retrieve every stolen virtue. These excavating angels break demonic padlocks, uproot evil seals, and confront altars holding your blessings captive. Where darkness buried your potential, divine fire now digs it out with force. Holy fire also brings judgment, a decisive heavenly verdict against everything responsible for the burial of your glory. The fire of God is both restorative and destructive. It destroys the altar that buried you. It silences the priest that invoked your burial. It scatters the covens that traded your star. It consumes the monitoring spirits that reported your progress. It breaks the curses that sealed your destiny underground. When God judges your enemies by fire, they can no longer defend what they buried. Their legal rights collapse, and their power structures melt under divine heat. Heaven's intervention introduces spiritual resurrection. This is when what was buried begins to show signs of life again. Your confidence returns. Your inspiration awakens. Your strength rises. Vision sharpens. Hope comes alive. People begin to notice you again. Opportunities reappear. Favor returns. Doors start opening. Relationships realign. What seemed dead begins to breathe again because resurrection power is now active in your atmosphere. just as Jesus rose from a sealed tomb. Your buried destiny rises by the same supernatural principle. No stone can hold what God has commanded to rise. Another dimension of heavenly intervention is restoration by force. This is not gentle restoration. It is aggressive recovery. It is heaven demanding the return of everything the enemy buried. Your progress, your ideas, your finances, your marriage, your health, your reputation, your joy, your spiritual gifts. In this moment, you do not simply recover. You recover abundantly. You recover visibly. You recover with acceleration. God ensures that what was buried returns to you in multiplied form, because divine restoration rarely returns things in their original size. It enlarges them. Holy fire also tears apart the evil covering over your identity. You begin to be seen again, spiritually and physically. People recognize your value. Those who once ignored you now honor you. Environments that rejected you suddenly welcome you. Your name carries weight. Your presence commands attention. This is because the veil hiding your destiny has been burnt off. When God uncovers you, no enemy can recover you. Heaven's intervention also breaks the evil timing that buried your seasons. Delays collapse suddenly. What should have taken years begins to happen in months or even days. You step into divine speed. Processes that were stagnant become accelerated. Approvals move quickly. Projects gain momentum. Connections solidify rapidly. When God restores your time, He compresses lost years into moments of supernatural advancement. You begin to walk in the timing of heaven, not the delays of men. Another powerful sign of intervention is the shift in spiritual authority. You begin to feel a new boldness, a new fire, a new clarity in prayer. You speak, and things move. You decree, and things obey. You resist the enemy, and he flees instantly. Heaven strengthens your spiritual voice, because a resurrected destiny cannot operate with a buried authority. When God intervenes, He restores not only what you lost, but the power to protect it. Finally, heaven seals your rising. Once God tears open the burial ground of your destiny, He places divine protection over your blessings. What was dug out cannot be reburied. What was uncovered cannot be covered again. What was resurrected cannot die again. God surrounds your life with a hedge of fire, ensuring that the enemy cannot return to reclaim what he once held. Your destiny becomes fortified, your path illuminated, and your future established in victory. When heaven rises to recover what the enemy buried, the first manifestation is divine remembrance. God remembers your name, your tears, your sacrifices, your years of endurance, and your silent battles. Heaven recalls every prayer you whispered when no one was listening. Divine remembrance is not sentimental. It is judicial. It means God is now ready to reverse verdicts, uproot demonic decisions, and restore everything that was stolen. When God remembers you, the earth must respond, and circumstances must align to fulfill what was written concerning your destiny before time began. As God releases remembrance, the next dimension is prophetic recovery. This is when your spirit begins to reclaim what was buried long ago. Virtues you lost in childhood, opportunities stolen by jealousy, blessings withheld by demonic manipulation, and breakthroughs taken by ancestral covenants. Prophetic recovery is not passive. It is the aggressive return of everything that carries your name. Heaven identifies your virtues in the spirit realm, pulls them from every hiding place, and forces them to reattach to your life. The identity, confidence, and divine authority that were buried inside you begin to rise with unstoppable force. Restoration then appears as visible transformation. People start noticing a change they cannot explain. The heaviness that sat on your shoulders begins to lift. The confusion that clouded your mind clears. Ideas return with freshness. Direction becomes sharper. Your spiritual senses revive. You begin to move with boldness, clarity, and spiritual intelligence. Restoration is not simply getting back what you lost. It is stepping into a version of yourself that is stronger, wiser, and more spiritually fortified than before the attack. What the enemy meant for burial becomes the soil of your rebirth. One of the most powerful aspects of divine restoration is the return of stolen time. The years the locust ate, the seasons buried in delay, The opportunities that seemed permanently lost, God breathes upon them and compresses decades of progress into moments of breakthrough. You begin to experience sudden elevation, accelerated movement, and divine speed. Things that remained stagnant for years begin to unfold rapidly. Under prophetic restoration, God removes the shame of delay and clothes you with the honor of divine timing. Recovery also touches relationships. Divine connections reappear, destiny helpers are restored, and people assigned to your rising begin to locate you with supernatural accuracy. Where relationships were buried through manipulation, misunderstanding, or spiritual interference, God repairs, revives, or replaces them. He brings the right people back into your life while removing those who contributed to your burial. Restoration is not only about what you get back. It is also about who returns and who is removed for your protection and progress. Judgment decrees then begin to speak. These decrees are divine verdicts that dismantle every altar responsible for your burial. God issues a spiritual sentence against the agents, altars, and powers that covered your destiny. He breaks their legal rights, tears their scrolls, silences their priesthood, and nullifies their covenants. The same fire that uncovered your blessings now turns against the forces that fought you. Judgment ensures that what was restored cannot be buried again. It seals your victory and terminates the possibility of repeated cycles. As these decrees echo in the spirit realm, recovery becomes generational. God does not only restore your blessings, He restores your bloodline. He pulls your children, grandchildren, and future descendants into the freedom you are stepping into. He breaks ancient cycles of burial and plants a new pattern of glory, freedom, and divine dominion. What was buried in your lineage is resurrected in your lifetime. What held your family captive loses its power forever. You become the point of reversal, the repairer of the breach, and the breaker of generational altars. Prophetic restoration also releases new authority. You begin to walk with a mantle you did not have before the battle. Your prayers carry weight. Your words pierce darkness. Your decrees manifest quickly. You sense heaven backing your voice in a way you never felt before. This authority comes because recovery is not just about blessing. It is about empowerment. God equips you to guard what He restored and to stand as a spiritual gatekeeper who cannot be buried again. Then comes the final dimension, settlement. Heaven establishes you in a place the enemy can no longer access. Blessings stabilize. Opportunities remain open. Relationships stay aligned. Health strengthens. Finances grow. Vision expands. Settlement means the battle is no longer fluctuating. Your restoration becomes your new normal. You are no longer fighting to rise. You are rising effortlessly under God's hand. Settlement means the season of burial has ended permanently. Finally, God crowns your recovery with divine visibility. What was hidden becomes celebrated. What was buried becomes honored. What was covered becomes elevated. The world begins to see the version of you that heaven always intended. Your glory shines without resistance. Your star rises without interference. And your destiny manifests without delay. This is the seal of prophetic restoration. Your life becomes a testimony that no burial is permanent when holy fire intervenes. Everything buried is returning to you by fire, by force, and by divine decree. And nothing in hell can stop the rising God has commanded over your destiny. There comes a moment in every believer's journey when the Spirit of God announces an ending to suppression, to silence, to delay, to every burial engineered against your destiny. Today marks that moment for you. What was hidden is being uncovered. What was buried is being resurrected. What was tied down is being released by fire. You are stepping into a season where nothing about you will remain underground. Heaven has issued a verdict in your favor, and no altar of darkness can overturn it. May the fire of God continue to tear open every evil covering over your life. May your virtues rise. May your voice return. May your glory shine. May your destiny stand tall again. And may every power that fought your rising fall before the presence of the Lord. You are not returning to the old battles. You are stepping into a new dimension where your life itself becomes evidence of God's intervention. Walk boldly because heaven has already gone ahead of you. Stand firm because what God has uncovered cannot be buried again. And move forward because your restored destiny is waiting to manifest in full. Stay covered, stay lifted, and stay victorious. Your rising has just begun.